Hi everyone, I'm Ken from Crypto Trading KS. If you're new, welcome, and welcome back to our regular community. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin is currently trading at 31,401, up 0.8%. Ethereum trading at 1862, up 0.14%. My goal is to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. We're going to have a really fun episode tonight. Now, before we get into the fun, I would like to share Rule 664 with you. Unearned is returned. Now, what does that mean? You've probably heard lots of stories about unhappy lottery winners. Bud Post III, William Bud Post III, he was 66 when he won $16.2 million. Wow, that's a lot of money. But unfortunately, it brought him debt, despair, and heartache. He said 5 years after winning the Pennsylvania lottery, everybody dreams of winning the lottery, but nobody realized the nightmares that come out of the woodwork or the problems. From ABC News, here's another quick story. April 6, 2007. Wow, Jack won $315 million. He became a celebrity, and this article said, he was embarking on a journey that would lead to tragedy and the loss of everything he held dear. Whitaker said he regrets ever winning the lottery, and he wished he tore the ticket up. Quite a statement from someone that wins life-changing wealth. Now, why am I talking about this? Unearned is returned. Because today, we're going to go through allocating crypto golems $50,000 of life savings into 3 alts that we're going to pick from about 100. He's hunting. Crypto Golem is hunting for his precious. He's looking for the precious underneath 3 cryptos. Now, this is a really, really serious endeavor. Golem is giving you $50,000 of his life savings. You remember if you saw the episode where I talked about the short story I saw or read as a child, it was called The Gambler. It was about this guy who went to the races. He won every race except the last. And the point of the story was, why be a gambler if you win everything but lose the last race? Now think about Golem. He's entrusting you right now with $50,000 of his life savings. He trusts you to be a custodian of his wealth. You are going to take your time and you're going to pick 3 cryptos out of the 100 that we go through. If you gamble, unearned is returned. It will be devastating. You may win a couple of races, but you are almost guaranteed to lose all of that money sooner or later. We have to do things differently. I just wanted to put that up because many of you are putting in your life savings. If you're going on to the 100 to 1, 1,000 to 1 gambles, please be careful. Let's go through how we might set this investment up for Crypto Golem. We need to look after Golem. He can be a pretty scary character. We don't want to get on his bad side. We know Rule 174. We always apply the T-cube method. Trend, timing, trigger. Now we're going to get more into the trigger. Many people have asked me about this. I've been trying to provide you the foundations to create your own personal edge. Now, what's the trend? The trend of the crypto market is explained in episode 130. It's really important that you know the trend. So many things impact Bitcoin's price. You need literally a 360-degree view of what is happening. We're going to assume that you know the trend, which is vital and critical. Let's go to Rule 1122. Look at the timing through the KS method. As we're going through 100 alts, we'll get right to the core of it. We look at crypto total market cap because we want to understand basically how the market is moving as a whole. What do we see here? This resistance line coming down, this underneath support. See this fresh air above that particular resistance. Don't worry about the fact that total crypto is 1.264 trillion. That's not really important. What is important here is the overhead structural resistance, the passing of resistance lines, these support lines, these resistance lines, horizontal and diagonal. When we look at this, we can see the crypto market is actually gathering strength. It's not showing the weakness that was so predictable by just about every other YouTube channel. But it wasn't predictable because we understand what's happening inside the crypto engine. Let's have a look at Bitcoin's technical analysis. Bitcoin is currently trading at 31,341, just above that very key support at 31,111. It's underneath its structural resistance at 32,414, and we can see resistance above at 32,054. Many people have asked me how I draw the lines on the chart. If you go to episode 93, I work a diagram up from literally nothing, and I show exactly how you can draw those lines in a very step-by-step method. All of the videos I create are to transfer knowledge from me to you, and then you can apply that knowledge in whatever artistic way you choose fit, in line with your edge, your special view of the market. Let's have a quick look at the Bitcoin longs and shorts. The longs are measured here in green and the shorts are measured in red. Currently the shorts are decreasing, the longs are increasing. What you see when you just draw a line, this is a very tight resistance line. We can see we're across to the other side of it. This is all about the strengthening that's happening behind the scenes in Bitcoin's price. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum, the number 2 crypto, we can see the longs here in green. There are around 85,685 opens in the longs. We have a look at the shorts. There's around 108,000 of those. Even though this is coming down in a relative sense, there are still a lot of them. That's what we really want. We want the shorts to increase because we want to build that fuel for the next rally up. Of course, if you're going short, please be aware that the trend may not be with you as much as you thought. There's a lot of information in past episodes on that as well. Let's have a look at maxpain for Bitcoin. We can see that it's at 36,000 as it has been for the past few days. This is the options expiration on July the 30th. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum's option expiration at July the 30th still has a maxpain price of 2,400. The maxpain price is where the majority of options expire worthless. We always like to keep an eye on the calls and the puts. If somebody calls you up, that's really cool. It's always nice to talk to people. But if someone put you down, that's not the best. That's short behavior. So short is going down in price. That's what they anticipate. Now, calls are longs. So we can see in the option value here, 48% are calls, 51.7% are puts. If we go across to Ethereum, we can see calls 47.2% and puts 52.8%. We always look to psychological safety and liquidations. We haven't seen much in the way of liquidations since the big sell-off. The current recording for fear and greed is 15. That's pretty low. That's been the lowest it's been for a long time. We notice that the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is unlocking in a few days. In the previous episode on trend, we actually looked through 19 Bitcoin stocks be they ETFs or be they actual stocks like MicroStrategy. We go through 19 of those as well as all the major indices. It's really good to look at. The options expiration max pain for Bitcoin is still sitting at 36,000. We're going to track this in up and down steps and see where that max pain price is going. The important thing to understand here is psychological safety. The idea you feel when you're going long, when you're doing calls, you feel psychological safety when the price is going up and up and up. Many people were attracted to the market when the price just kept going up and up and up, and many people bought at the top. The majority of people in crypto did so. It's not something to be sad about. It's just the nature of the beast, how this thing works. But you're making a different path in life. You're understanding institutional price behavior. When the price comes down like this, the longs, the calls, lose confidence and the shorts gain psychological safety. Just as the calls gain psychological safety here, the shorts or the puts gain psychological safety here. What happened to the calls when they gained psychological safety? They got liquidated. What happens to the puts when they gain psychological safety? They tend to get liquidated. Talking about liquidations, let's check the past 24-hour liquidation. It's 201.57 million across 65,270 traders. Let's check out over the past 12 hours. Liquidations, 70% of liquidations were long over the past 12 hours. We can see that there are a lot of long liquidations and the short liquidations, just a few. Let's do a little bit more digging into the Bitcoin stablecoin supply ratio SSR oscillator. This just basically says, are stablecoins being deployed into Bitcoin? The answer is yes. If we look at past cycles in the bull market segment, we can see that when stablecoins are deployed, the price tends to go up. It's also good to look at Bitcoin net realized profit and loss. When there's a lot of green up here, the short side of the market gets very excited because they want to cool the market down. When there's a lot of red down here, as is the case now, the longs get really excited because they want to liquidate the shorts. The shorts and the longs are like yin and yang. One heats, one cools. They keep the market in harmony. I'd like to point out something quickly in the KS model. The KS model is a crypto technical trading model based on institutional price psychology. What we're looking at in the current price action in terms of where the price is, also in terms of the relative strength increase in that price, is very close to this aspect right here. Just keep that in mind. If this is the first time you've seen this, please look back at episode 130 and episode 129. I'd like to point out a really cool diagram. Thank you, Joe, for recommending this. What you see here in this shaded area is the exponential blow off top, the euphoria of the market. Can you see it at the moment up here? This really supports the hypothesis that the best is yet to come. You can also notice the blow off bottom, which is capitulation, is nowhere to be seen. Having said that, we're about halfway through the cycle. Even though we have that focus on helping Golem spend his $50,000 of life savings, we still need to keep our journal. That's why we're going through this together. Top 7, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, Binance Coin, Cardano, XRP, and USD Coin. Let's have a look at the greatest gainer over the past 24 hours. NEM, FTX token, SushiSwap, BAT, Ravencoin, Telcoin, and NEAR. Let's go the other way. What are the greatest losses? Axie Infinity, Rune, STX, Harmony, Cello, Rev, and Bake. Let's push to the other side. 7-day top percentage gainers. XEM, which is NEM, Ravencoin, OKB, HBAR, Axie Infinity, Leo, UST. Let's go the other way. What are the greatest losses over the past 7 days? TEL, Rune, Theta, ZRX, AMP, Matic, and KCS. Let's have a different look at it. Everybody likes bubbles, so why don't we get some bubbles happening? Okay, so we can see the greatest daily gainers in these green bubbles. Okay, so RVN, FTT, Sushi, XEM, HBAR, BAT, and TEL. Pretty neat. What about the weekly? Let's check them out. Okay, not too much. There's a lot of red. There's a sea of red. This is a really nice way to look at how things are changing. RVN, XEM, AXS. Let's keep on going. Let's see how we can help Golem. Part of our community edge is looking at Binance derivatives. The 24-hour trading volume is 46.85 billion. 24-hour open interest is 6.3 billion. We're particularly interested in the change in price of the contract in the past 24 hours. That gives us an understanding of how strong a potential move could be. We can see this percentage is quite weak. We don't expect a strong move just yet. Let's go down and check out. We see price pressure on Ethereum. Let's go down a bit more. Sort of page by page. We see Axie Infinity under pressure. We're looking for high percentage gains. Sushi, this gives us an idea that there's upward price pressure. Let's have a bit more of a look. XEM, not looking bad at 11.5. BEL, BEL, looking good at 12. BAT on 9.4. Let's have a look what else could be there. RVN on 8. They're sort of midway. Okay, let's go down and just put the futures on there for you. You can look back at this. Literally, it's a trading journal covering off once every day or twice or even more. It's really helpful to go back at a particular point in time and look how things are going. Okay, now we've done our housekeeping. We have to help Golem allocate his $50,000 in life savings. And Golem is so impressed with you that he's giving you that $50,000 to put into crypto. The key, you can only pick 3. You need reasons why you pick the 3, and you cannot use any bias. If you've got a favorite coin, you can't just automatically say, my favorite coin. You can't do that. This is Golem's life savings. You may love your favorite coin so much, but you know, Golem will eat you if you get it wrong. So let's be as unbiased as humanly possible. Rule 47, master your edge. Every human being is completely unique. Your edge is your edge. You are an artist. However you go about being profitable in the market is completely your jurisdiction. You don't have to have the edge of anybody else. It's always good to look at other people's edges because that may give you ideas on how to convert that into an edge for you or how to modify edges you already have. But you need to be artistic. It's your edge. No matter what edge you have, Rule 901 is incredibly important. If you want to make losses, just disregard Rule 901. It will happen. If you want to make gains, this is powerful. Use a rules-based system. Rules-based systems mean that you have to cover certain hurdles before you will even look at investing or trading any specific entity in any market. Rule 905 is a very powerful thing to understand, and it takes a long time to understand this. When you buy proven strength, you're already 80% of the way there. Now, what do I mean by proven strength? If something is strong, it tends to keep being strong because there are certain fundamentals that underpin that strength. If something is weak, it tends to continue to be weak because there's certain fundamentals that are missing from that particular focus, that entity, that thing that you invest or trade in. We kind of whip past this, but do you realize there's 10,939 crypto projects in the crypto market? Wow, that's a lot. When we talk about using a rule like 905 to buy proven strength, what we're actually saying is stick with the strength. Just imagine you were in a class with 10,939 other students. For example, guess what? You're in the top 100. Are you good or what? If you're in the top 10 or top 20, wow, phenomenal. Think about it. If you're the top 1, there must be a reason. That's why we're constraining our analysis for Golem to the top 100. This is already obeying Rule 901. Use a rules-based system. We say top 100 because we don't want to gamble. Anything unearned is returned. Gambling never works in any market. Even professional gamblers have rules and systems. They know the odds, they know the math. They are professional. They're not gamblers. One thing we're going to do is use BTCALT Gearing to understand the strength of the top 100 cryptos. If you've recently joined or joined past episode 57, episode 57 is where we talk about the BTCALT Gearing ratio. It is an incredible thing. I developed this concept to show strength that people generally don't see. BTCALT Gearing is part of my personal edge that I love to share with you, and I love to share it with the community. We can see Bitcoin from this date has risen 127.63%. Of course, it's a live chart. Now, how did Bitcoin's fingerprint impact Ethereum? We can see Bitcoin's fingerprint here, and from a relative sense, when we look at it, we can see Ethereum increase by 370% and Bitcoin increase by 128%. Now, how do we calculate BTCALT Gearing? You take this number, let's just use 370, and you divide it by this number, let's just use 128. The key is this is around 2.9. You could even say 3. Just keep these numbers in mind. You're the fund manager for Golem's $50,000 fund. This gearing relationship is running at about 2.9. To make it easier, we'll just put 2.9 there. Let's have a look at BNB. We take that 948 and divide it by 128. 948 divided by 128, about 7.4. Let's have a look at ADA. ADA is 1157, so we'll call it 1158. 1158 divided by 131, maybe we call it 132, just for the sake of it. You don't have to be exact. 8.8 is a rough figure. There you go. I'll just put 8.8 there. Now we've got 100 of these, so we have to do it differently or else we'll spend 5 hours going through this video. So I tell you what, the key is to take note of this value. That's like 1156, 131. You can see that there's a big gap there. If we go to BNB, 948, you can see it's a smaller gap in relative terms. Here, you know it's a smaller gap. With Bitcoin, hey, it's 1. Surprise! When we look at these. You want to come up with 3 particular tickers, if you like, just the coin names. You want to have some reasons. It's really serious work. We have no room for bias or personal preference in this. Let's go through each one. Now, Ethereum, BNB, ADA, XRP. You can see there's not much of a gap between XRP and Bitcoin at the current time. Now that means that XRP is quite weak compared to Bitcoin. At this particular time, you can see Doge 6,710 to 123. That just allows you to calculate this. I want you to invest the time to understand how to do these calculations. Remember, unearned is returned. You really want to earn this. Have a look at DOT 184 to 128. You can get a good feeling about the gaps here. Let's have a look at Uniswap 580 or 581 to 128. Let's have a look at Bitcoin Cash 127 to 65. You can get a very good feeling. I'm trying to develop a specific skill in you, which is the ability to look at a chart and see how closely it mirrors Bitcoin's performance. Have a look at Litecoin. Bitcoin 127 to Litecoin's 113. Let's look at Sol. Wow, 1542 to 128. You can see when it's squashed down here, that's a good sign. When it's carrying very close to Bitcoin, it means it's pretty much tracking Bitcoin. When you look for strength, you want to look for a gap. Remember, we're not putting any bias in. We're not making any assumptions about anything. We're just talking about how the actual performance of the coin is measuring up against its potential. Let's have a look at Link. Link, Bitcoin 127 to Link 35. We can see that Link is underneath Bitcoin. XLM is above Bitcoin. So XLM 195, Bitcoin 128. Let's have a look at Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic 647 to 128. It's good to understand that this BTCALT Gearing can change, but it's a really good way to get an eyeball on the strength. Look at Matic. How strong is Matic? 5679 to Bitcoin's 131. Let's have a look at ICP. ICP negative 44.63 and ICP negative 91. Let's have a look at Theta. Theta 620 to Bitcoin's 127. The BTCALT Gearing is almost what percentage increase or decrease is happening in the alt relative to Bitcoin's fingerprint. That's what we want to see. We can see that this one is more powerful than other ones have been. Theta. Let's have a look at VET. VET 535% to 131%. Have a look at how VET just took off and it's come back. It also means that when Bitcoin repairs, a lot of this damage will be repaired as well. Filecoin 43.67% to Bitcoin's 127.85%. That's Filecoin. Let's have a look at Tron. Bitcoin 128% to Tron 115%. Let's have a look at EOS. EOS is 44% and Bitcoin 127%. It's also helpful to know what this actually means. When Bitcoin is performing above EOS over this period of time, it means if you put the money in Bitcoin, it would actually give higher returns than EOS. Please note that alts always go up and down disproportionately to Bitcoin. This fingerprint may be relevant for this particular time period and may change completely in other time periods. You've got to keep your eye on it. Let's have a look at XMR, Monero. XMR 52%, Bitcoin 127%. It's really important to remember that we're trying to look after Golem's life savings here. We want to give Golem the absolute best potential to make money. We're not worried about the potential so much at this stage. In this first step, we need to see relative performance. Let's look at Aave. Aave 711% to Bitcoin's 128%. Let's have a look at Luna. Luna 2033% to 129% with Bitcoin. Let's have a look at SHIB. SHIB negative 81% to Bitcoin's negative 44%. So SHIB has been very underwater compared to Bitcoin. FTT 624% to Bitcoin's 129%. Let's have a look at Algo. Algo 201% to Bitcoin's 128%. It's just giving you some sort of idea. You can very easily look at the visual on this to understand. Now, there are a lot of other rules that need to apply in here. You can see the cake sprung up quite a way away from Bitcoin and has come back as Bitcoin has sold off. This is, as you know, normal behavior for alts. No alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. Let's have a look at Cake. Cake, negative 33% to Bitcoin's negative 44%. Atom is 139% to Bitcoin 127%. Let's have a look at Maker. Maker 344% to Bitcoin's 128%. You can almost understand and see how Bitcoin's fingerprint is playing out on these alts. When Bitcoin goes down, it tends to pull every alt with it. But when it goes up, look at this disproportionate push up. It's very good to understand how this Bitcoin alt gearing relationship plays out. Let's look at Clay. So Clayton 13.94% to 9.63% for Bitcoin. Let's have a look at XTZ, Tezos. Tezos 21.48% to Bitcoin 127%. So we could say Tezos at this particular time has been underneath Bitcoin. I commonly refer to that as under the water. That's what it means. The water line is Bitcoin. If something is under Bitcoin, it's under the water. Doesn't mean it will stay there, of course. Anything can happen in crypto, but it's really important to be aware of what things mean. Let's have a look at Comp. Comp 296% to Bitcoin 128%. Let's have a look at AVAX. AVAX 192% to Bitcoin's 127%. It's really interesting to also take note of how things can take off at various times after a prolonged downtrend. Look at AVAX taking off here. It's very good to be aware that the BTCALT Gearing is not the be-all and end-all of anything. It's just the first step in a long process. Let's have a look at IOTA, MIOTA. IOTA 169.85% to 128% for Bitcoin. Let's have a look at the graph. GRT. GRT 361% to Bitcoin 37%. HBAR, Hedera hash graph. H bar 530% to Bitcoin's 131%. KSM. It's really good to look through the top 100. If you go through this list, you'll see a lot of patterns playing out. It's very, very powerful stuff. KSM 459% to Bitcoin's 128%. Let's look at Decred, DCR, 792% to Bitcoin's 128%. Let's look at BTT, 666% to Bitcoin's 101%. Let's look at NEM, which is XEM. XEM 5.79% to Bitcoin's 63.62%. Let's look at T-Fuel. Wow, there's a bit of a gap there, isn't there? T-Fuel 2,933 to Bitcoin's 123. Let's look at EGLD. EGLD 862% to Bitcoin's 128%. Have a look at Chile, CHZ, 2408 to 131. Let's have a look at Waves. Waves is 303 to Bitcoin 128. When I read this out, you can just mentally calculate what that would be, but I'm trying to help you to see the patterns and to put in the work. When you put in the work, you are earning it. When you earn it, you don't have to give it back. That's really, really vital. Let's have a look at STX, 534 to Bitcoin's 128. It's also good to look at these patterns and see how these patterns are playing out. Let's look at Dash. Dash 65 to Bitcoin's 127. Let's look at Axie Infinity. Wow, this has certainly taken off. 12,800 to Bitcoin's 121. Let's look at Zcash. ZEC 127, ZEC 60 to Bitcoin's 127. You see that's under the water at present. SNX 204 to Bitcoin's 128. Mana is 851 to Bitcoin's 131. YFI is 154 to Bitcoin's 127. Rune 959 to Bitcoin's 128. Engine 830 to Bitcoin's 128. HNT 1235 to Bitcoin's 128. Sushi is 1,045 to Bitcoin's 128. Hot, look at how Hot just absolutely took off parabolically. If we think about what's happened with Bitcoin recently, Hot's a very, very interesting one, potentially. This would be a VC play. We have to be very careful with Golem's money. We don't want to be eaten. So Hot 1055 to Bitcoin's 101. Let's look at BAT. BAT 197 to Bitcoin 127. MDX is 29 to Bitcoin 19. Let's have a look at NEAR. NEAR is 205 to Bitcoin's 128. Let's have a look at ZIL. ZIL is 245 to Bitcoin's 131. All of these patterns are really fascinating to keep your eye on. You can see as Bitcoin moves up and down, the capability to move these alts goes disproportionately with it. I always say it is always alt season. Please bear that in mind. One Harmony is 1504 to Bitcoin's 123. BNT, Bancor, is 352 to Bitcoin's 128. Let's have a look at Bitcoin Gold. This is just recently trading on Binance. All of these coins are on Binance. It's important to understand when a particular coin is underneath Bitcoin, the relationship must always be less than 1, because 1 is the price of Bitcoin. When something is above Bitcoin's fingerprint, it is greater than 1 and has positive BTCALT gearing. When it's below, it has a fraction, so it comes down to be a fractional part. In this case, we divide 48.81 on 68.11 to make sure it's less than 1. I hope that helps. That's what we do with underwater coins. If we have a look at Celo, we're saying exactly the same thing. Celo is underneath Bitcoin. When Bitcoin is on the top, the basic way of calculating this is that it needs to be less than 1, because anything above Bitcoin is greater than 1. So what we do here is, for Celo, 7.5% divided by 12.63%. I hope that helps. When a specific coin is above Bitcoin, it's over the water. Now, when it's over the water, we just take the 448 or 449 and divide it by 132. That gives us the positive BTCALT gearing factor. It's actually really interesting to see that there are certain specific patterns that are playing out across all of the alts. Just keep your eyes on those patterns. Let's look at Zen. Zen is above the water, so it's 786 divided by 128. ONT is under the water, so it becomes 41 divided by 128. We're trying to make the fraction smaller to show that it's either above the water, that means the price is above Bitcoin's, or it's under the water, which means it's below. Let's have a look at QTUM. QTUM. QTUM is 176 on Bitcoin's 128. The really interesting thing here to note is how closely an alt follows Bitcoin's percentage gains. Sometimes you can see that it's above. That's good. There are so many ways to play the BTCALT gearing. It's a long study, but of course I will share that with you. We see that DGB is below Bitcoin, so we need to make this fraction less than 1. The way that we do that is to put the Bitcoin price, the higher number, on the bottom of the fraction, and the digibyte here on top. So it's 82 divided by 128. We're getting a fractional amount. Here, for CRV, its CRV is 253 divided by Bitcoin at 128. ZRX is currently below the water. It's below Bitcoin at the present time. It doesn't mean it will stay there. You can see a lot of spikes. There's the potential for these coins to recover quickly, but at the particular time, this particular time, these coins are weaker than others. We don't make any assessment if the coin is better or worse. That's not the issue. I'm really proud of you for being at this part of the video. You're showing that you're earning it. I'm just so proud. This is really what it's all about. So I'm going to share some secret insights that a lot of people who've tuned out earlier will not get. When you look at a coin can have a massive amount of potential, but the uptake can be slow. The reality is always reflected in the price. This is really, really helpful to know. That means that you may have a coin which is so awesome and incredible, but the price is not reflecting that awesomeness. That can be very much about the uptake, the dynamics, all sorts of underpinning things. If you find that there is a difference between price reality and potential, it's always a sign to look at the uptake and dig further and do more market research on it. Just going back to ZRX, ZRX is underwater, so we take this 91 and divide it by 128. Let's look at Sia coin. Sia coin, 352 divided by 124. You can see Sia coin has so much potential spring. You've got to keep the dynamic of the chart in mind as well. As you can see, there's a lot to this. When we have a look at this, we have to make bakes, BTCALT Gearing less than 1. How do we do that? 45.5 divided by 55.68. Let's have a look at UMA. UMA is underwater, so that means we have to have a number resulting that is less than 1. The way to get there, 21.73 divided by 128. We can see overall this has tracked Bitcoin's price reasonably well, but it's sunk over here. It's been above for a little while, but not too long. Let's have a look at Nano. Nano is above Bitcoin, so we know that the number, the BTCALT Gearing, must be greater than 1. 407 divided by 129. Let's have a look at ICX. ICX, they're basically on top of each other, so let's just call that 1. Now the interesting thing, you can see a lot of variability above this line. That's something to bear in mind as well. FTM, wow, that's impressive, isn't it? Phantom, 1097 divided by 132. Let's have a look at Anchor, ANKR. Anchor, 826 to Bitcoin, 125. Let's finish off on 1 inch. 1 inch is under Bitcoin's price. That means, under Bitcoin's percentage gain, that means that we need a BTCALT Gearing of less than 1. That, in order to get that, we take 11.28, this 11.28, divided by 27.4. This shows how really difficult it is to pick alts. It's not a simple process. Many of the fund managers simply pick Bitcoin and Ethereum, the first 1 and 2, for a reason. They know they're reasonably safe with those. Of course, the potential returns are different for Bitcoin and Ethereum in comparison to the alts, but the alts can be violent in terms of how they move around. So we need to be really careful with Golem's life savings. Everybody has different risk profiles. Golem really wants a return. He doesn't mind too much if price goes up or down, but he needs to know that things are as safe as they can be. Congratulations for investing in your knowledge and your time. This means what we've gone through is one step in the direction of pulling the trigger. Please, in the comments, let me know what you think the top 3 that we've gone through would be. Just make a quick note of your reasons. This is really serious work, so it's important that you lose your bias. You may love a specific alt and just want to recommend that, but just think, this is not your money, this is Golem's money. And you, as a fund manager for Golem, with his $50,000 worth of life savings, you have to protect it and you have to guard it. So just keeping those things in mind, just let me know what you feel would be the best 3, and of course, why. And if you want to go that step further and dig into the background, the various metrics that prove the financial health and otherwise, the on-chain metrics, that's really good as well. The more the better. As a community, Everybody is helping everybody. That's what we stand for. That's what we're here for. I hope you found the content useful. Everything I do for you is free. Please be aware of scammers. I do these videos to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. We, as a community, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on Discord, all free groups. Please reach out and say hi. And if you would like to join any of those groups and chat with other like-minded people, we would love to have you. Always remember, crypto is volatile. Please prepare yourself for the best and worst case scenarios. Reality will likely be between them. Stay safe out there. Take care and see you next time. Bye for now.